Hello, mathematicians. So excited to have you here with me today because we're doing one of my favorite things, and that is multiplication. Let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to take a look at our clear learning target. So if you're following along with me on the screen, perhaps you'll read it with me. I can use models to write and solve multiplication equations. I already know you're going to do an excellent job. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at this picture, and we have a very simple question. What do you notice? I'm going to give you a little bit of some private think time. Maybe you notice that there's tennis balls, and you're correct. Maybe you notice that they're different colors. We've got a green group, an orange group, and a purple group. That's also correct. Perhaps you're also noticing that each one of those groups or sets each has 4 tennis balls in it. Very nice job. Let's look a little deeper. How many green balls do you see? Take a second to count. That's right, I see 4 green tennis balls. I'm going to write that number on our whiteboard just to make sure I don't forget it. All right, how about how many orange? You're right again, 4. And our last group, purple, I bet you can guess. There's also 4. Nice job. Our question on the bottom says, how many groups of balls do you see? I see 1 group of green, 1 group of orange, and 1 group of purple. So I'm noticing that there are 3 groups of balls. Excellent job. Now our question is, what equation can we write to find how many in all? Well, if you're not used to multiplying, you might look at these 4s here and want to add them. That's called repeated addition, and it's a strategy you can use to help you solve. If we added 4 plus 4 plus 4, what would we get? Our answer is 12. Very good. We could also use multiplication. We've got those 3 groups, and each of those 3 groups has 4 tennis balls in them. So our multiplication equation would say 3 times 4. And interesting enough, this also equals 12. Now, one way that we can check our work is by counting the tennis balls in the picture. I'm going to give you a moment to do that now, just so you can make sure we've got it correct. Did you count 12 balls? We did excellent so far. So let's look at that equation a little bit closer. That X symbol in the middle often means groups of, and that's exactly what we were looking at today. We had 3 groups of 4 tennis balls. This number 3 and 4 are factors, just like you see them labeled on the screen. You multiply those factors in order to get your product or your answer here for multiplication. And that answer is 12. Doing a great job so far. Let's keep working. We've got a new picture here, and I want you to take some time to answer that same question, what do you notice? Hopefully you're noticing that there's some fish, and they're in a tank. Maybe you're noticing how many tanks or how many fish are in each tank. Let's look at that a little more closely. How many fish tanks do you see in all? Giving you a second to count. I notice that there are 5 fish tanks. I'm going to write that down. Our next question asks, how many fish are in each tank? Take a second to check. That's right. There are 3 fish in each tank. Now, of course, as we mentioned before, we could do some repeated addition, but I think you're ready to go right into that multiplication. So we're going to write a multiplication equation to find out how many fish we have in all. And our multiplication equation is 5 times 3, because we have 5 groups with 3 fish in each group. I want to give you a second to see if you have a strategy to solve before we go over that answer together. So when we're multiplying 5 times 3, we're using this number 5 3 times. One strategy that we could use is skip counting. So we can skip count by 5 3 times. 5, then another 5 would be 10. One more 5 would be 15. Skip counting is an excellent skill that you can use to help you when you're multiplying. So I believe our answer is 15. Do me a favor and count those fish on the screen just to make sure we're correct. Excellent job. I hope you also got 15. You're doing really good. Now we have a delicious problem to look at here with some cookies. What multiplication equation can we write to find how many cookies we have in all? So the first thing we want to do is look at how many groups of cookies we have. If you're looking along with me, I believe we see 3 groups or stacks of cookies. I'm going to go ahead and put in that multiplication symbol. And now we want to see how many cookies are in each stack. Take a moment to count them. Did you count 6 cookies? Me too. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in for our equation. So our equation that we will solve is 3 times 6. Use some of the strategies that we've talked about before. Maybe you want to skip count, maybe you want to try that repeated addition, or maybe this is a multiplication fact you've already got in your head. The more you practice multiplication, the better you'll get with those facts. So I think I'm going to use our skip counting skill, and I'm going to skip count by the number 3 6 times. Let's try that together. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. I believe our answer is 18. And as you know, we can double check that by counting the cookies in the picture. Will you count those just to make sure we've got it right? Did you also get 18? Way to go. I told you we were rocking this multiplication. Nice job. Now we've got some balloons we're looking at. Instead of coming up with our own equation, we're trying to decide which of these equations matches our balloons. So first, let's look only at that picture and not worry about those equations on the bottom. I notice that the balloons are in 1, 2, 3 groups, and each one of those groups has the same number of balloons. How many do you see in each group? That's right, there are 5. So let's look at our equations now, keeping in mind that we said there are 3 groups, and those 3 groups each have 5. I see an equation that says 3 times 5, and that looks like it could be right. But let's check the other equations just to be sure. The one on the bottom says 4 times 2. Do you see 4 groups of balloons? Do you see 2 in each group? I don't think that one fits. Let's look at the last equation that says 3 plus 5. Do you see a group of 3 balloons plus a group of 5 more balloons? I don't think that one matches either. I think the equation that fits is 3 times 5. And I bet we can take a moment to solve that. Once again, you can skip count. You can practice those facts if you've already got them in your brain. Or you can do some repeated addition, adding 5 plus 5 plus 5. If you solve that correctly, you should get 15. And I'm sure you did. Excellent job. Now we've got a new problem, and they didn't provide a picture for us. No worries, we're going to be able to do that all on our own. There are 4 apple trees in my yard. Each apple tree has 5 apples on it. How could we create a picture to solve this? So if you're an artist, you might be really good at drawing trees. I'm not that great of an artist, so I'm just going to make my trees as little circles. Now looking back at the problem, they tell me there are 4. So I'm going to draw my 4 apple trees, just like this. Maybe put a little branch underneath. Oh, look at that. Now they do look a little bit more like trees. And then we're going to go and put our apples on. Do you remember how many apples belong on each tree? That's right, there are 5. So I'm going to try to draw my 5 apples. Now, of course, you could spend time making your picture look perfect, but we just need to use this picture to solve our equation. I think our picture looks great so far. All right, we've got a picture, but now we need a multiplication equation to help us solve. Of course, as we know, we could count these apples one by one, but we've got some strategies now that we can use. I'm noticing when I count my groups or my trees that there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to write that number down. Well, when I look at each group, how many apples do you notice? Each one has 5. We'll put that multiplication symbol in the middle, and now we're ready to solve. 4 times 5. So we can count by this number 4 and do that 5 times. Let's try that together. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I believe our answer is 20. Take a moment to check that. Did you also get 20? Excellent job. Let's take a look at these books here. We want to write a multiplication to find out how many books we have in all. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks. So that's our first number we'll use. We know we'll need a multiplication symbol, and now we need to know how many books are in each stack. There are 6. When we solve 4 times 6, I'll give you a second to try that now. And I'm sure you've got a great answer there of 24. Excellent job practicing those multiplication skills today. Good work.